Hello, it's Brian from Optimized Marketing. In the next 10 minutes, you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to hear information that is either going to lead you to believe that I'm crazy and there's no way this is true, or you're going to be shocked that you haven't heard this before and make this your number one marketing priority. So let's dig in. Recently, we celebrated my youngest's first birthday. So my wife was getting ready, preparing everything for the party. She cuts open a pineapple and it's rotten. So she looks at me and says, "Hey, I need a new pineapple." Of course, the guests are coming over shortly. "Can you run to the store and get me one? Can't be too brown. Needs to be a little bit of green." Yeah, sure. I mean, I can do that. Just one slight problem. I'm colorblind. I can't tell the green versus the brown one. So what do? I say, not having much of a choice, sure, I'll take care of it. I go to the store, I come back. He says, "This is the sweetest pineapple I've ever had. How did you find such a good pineapple?" Now, I don't want to set the precedent too high. Obviously, she was quite surprised by my produce picking skills, and I don't want her to think I can now match my own clothes. So I just tell her the truth. I took out my phone, took a picture with ChatGPT, and said, "Which is the best pineapple?" Literally of all the pineapples sitting there in the grocery store, and it told me the one in the end with the tag facing you looks like the best. Pick it up. If the bottom of it smells sweet, you're good. And that's what I did. If you think about what just happened there, I outsourced both my thinking and my eyesight to artificial intelligence. Whatever you've heard of ChatGPT, it is much, much more than just writing. Now, let's go back in history a little bit. If you were at the CDN convention in 2013, you'll probably remember the highlight of that convention, which was a talk that I gave about marketing. And at the time, this little arrow down here, I talked about YouTube. And specifically, I predicted that at some point in the future, you'd see ads while you're watching YouTube on your television set based on searches that you'd made on other devices earlier in the day or previous days and so on. It took a few years, to be frank, before YouTube actually implemented, but to me it just seemed obvious that it was going to happen. And most dealers started using YouTube way up here in 2022. Now, if you'd missed that growth, you would have paid a little bit more. You wouldn't have had the swing up in leads as you scaled up your strategy. There's more competition now than there was then, and so on. But you probably could have been all right. With AI, I think it's going to be a lot different. So let's talk a little bit more about that. When did you start using ChatGPT? Or have you at all? Most dealers I've talked to have not used ChatGPT at all, or maybe just tried it once to rewrite some emails and things like that. And that's great. It's phenomenal for that. However, we started using GPT in 2018. And you're thinking, wait a sec, how did you do that? Like, GPT came out late 2022. Really, nobody even heard of it till 2023. That's right, unless you're a developer. So in 2018, we had access to something called an API that allowed us to take our Facebook ads for Culligan dealers, software ads, drinking water ads, water testing ads, and so on, put them through the AI and then train the AI so they can then create new ads for us. So we have 6 years that we've been using this technology to help get better ads for Culligan dealers, leading to more sales. Now, this is very unique. I've worked with 4 different, let's say, marketing gurus that collectively have trained thousands of different agencies. And when we talk about these types of things, they make it clear like this is extremely rare. In fact, one of them, his name is Perry Marshall. He's a Google AdWords guru. Reached out to me in 2023 and asked me to speak at his AI seminar where hundreds of marketers would be learning about AI, knowing that we were that far ahead. So I gave a keynote at his talk in 2023 about some of the things that we do. Now, I'm going to make a really bold statement. This might sound crazy to you, but if it involves human language, AI will do it better. How do we know this? Well, as we got deep into this AI rabbit hole and trying to understand how to make it work for our business, we ran into some concerns. And so my brother and I, Greg, went out and decided to write a book and fully research and understand what are the limits of AI. So like most people are focused on what can I do with it today, but we were saying, okay, what's 5 years, 50 years, 500 years? What can AI not do? And so we wrote a book all about that. And one of the things that it will be able to do, there are no limits that we can see, is human language. So that's how we're confident we make that statement, that it is true. Now, if you pause for a second and think about all of the things that involve human language, maybe your understanding, I would hope your understanding of AI is extremely expanded. And that doesn't even include the vision things like I showed with the pineapple. And if you've never used ChatGPT, it's pretty simple. You literally just go to chatgpt.com, create a free account, and start using it. If you can use Google search, you can use GPT. The other way is just go to whatever phone you have, iPhone, Android, download the app, again, create the account, and then you have the app on your phone and ask it questions. And if you would first go to Google, I would suggest trying GPT. At this point, about 80% of my searches that a year ago I would have done on Google are through GPT. It's a better experience, and it can do a whole lot more. Now let's talk a little bit about If you had started using AI 6 years ago, what might that look like at a color dealership, particularly if your agency is? So this is 30 days of content, meaning this is one Culligan dealer that we're able to generate this much content in a 30-day period for paid ads. If you're looking at this, you're probably thinking, whoa, how could you do that? I mean, you can't really. And that's the point. This is where it starts getting crazy, because you couldn't pay an agency to do this much content. You couldn't afford to. Yet, you have to understand that most marketing these days is AI-driven, meaning the tools when you go out to buy, whether it's programmatic TV or digital space, AI algorithms are determining who sees which ads. And the only way to beat an AI, or at least compete with the AI, is to have your own AI. And that's what we had to go out and do. And so that's what we've been building. The results of this have been phenomenal. This particular client we took over, and so far this year, have generated almost $150,000 from Meta. Our top clients just last month in August generated over $50,000 in a single month from Meta. And this isn't even a major market. It's actually a suburban market that we did that in. But we've been optimizing for multiple years. So we'd really learned what was working. That's the power of using AI. Now, if you started using this like us, 2018, 2019, 2020, we started learning more about what was going on there in the ecosystem. And you see there's some players involved. OpenAI created ChatGPT. Microsoft has a partnership, a financial incentive in ChatGPT. Now, Microsoft owns this little tool called Bing, which is a search engine. It's a competitor to Google. And so we just predicted and said, well, they're going to want some benefit from their investment in GPT. Eventually, they're going to use this technology, and it's pretty darn good. And so you see that now. It's called Copilot. You'll see that in Bing Search down here. You also see it integrated into most of their Office products. So they are starting to leverage that technology. But if you were seeing this back in 2020, you would have said, okay, well, maybe we should start looking at Bing. And that's exactly what we did. So we've been generating ROI from Bing, generating revenue for years, knowing that eventually it was going to start to grow. What's the result of that? This particular client, we took over in late December of 2023. And at that point, they told us, hey, we never worked with Bing. Or no, we had worked with Bing, but it doesn't work. All right? But you haven't worked with it like we do it, with this understanding of how the AI works. Let us give it a try for a few months. 9.5 months in, $198,000 in sales. This isn't clicks, this isn't views, this isn't leads. This is revenue that we were able to track directly from a strategy that didn't work previously. And this is the difference between an AI-driven strategy versus one that's, let's say, a legacy media or standard strategy. It's that powerful. Our clients that have been doing this long-term are probably best on Bing. We've been doing it for several years for them, about 4 years, I believe it is. Generates about $30,000 a month consistently, over $360,000 in the last 12 months just on Bing. What does that mean? Take a look at your budget. If you haven't spent anything on Bing, you're probably missing out on. Your revenue is about 6 to 10% lower than it should have been if you were doing this properly. And you can do that again for Facebook, another 6 to 10% for Facebook, Meta overall, if you've been using an AI-driven strategy. So let me ask you a strategic question. Would you risk 5% of your revenue to decimate 55% of your competition's revenue? No. What I just told you is really exciting. I just gave you 2 ways that at a bare minimum, if you implemented both of them, you're going to look at about a 10% increase in revenue. That's exciting. That's great. This is AI is awesome. But there's some scary things, and that's what we're transitioning to now. And I asked this question because this is the question that's facing Microsoft. About 5% of Microsoft's revenue comes from Bing paid search ads, whereas about 57% in 2023 of Google's revenue came from paid search ads. GPT has a partnership with Microsoft. Microsoft, if they can figure out a way to replace Google, get bigger and more popular without showing ads, they'll then have to force Google to stop showing ads or be so much better than them that you're willing to put up with the ads. Is there a press release about this? No. This is just me as a business person looking and saying, this is what I would do. Isn't that what you would do? Now, there is a thing that's pushing GPT out to millions of people, tens of millions of people. Apple can no longer default to Google as the search engine on their devices. Now, 55% of all mobile traffic comes from Apple devices. So once they switch from using Google search as the default to ChatGPT, all of a sudden 37% of Google search revenue is at stake. If you're a Culligan dealer, that's your number one lead driver is Google. At some level, paid search, organic, GMB, so Google local, all of those could be driving a significant number of your leads. Probably over half of all your leads are coming from that. When that drops by 20, 25, 30, 40, who knows what the percentage is going to be, are you prepared? Of course, I don't have time to go into all of these things today. I just want to give you a quick summary to see if this makes sense to you or if you think I'm crazy. So now's your time to make that decision. Click in the email that we sent you as well if you want to join this webinar and learn more. We're going to go into more details of what we've learned. Is it going to help you weather this AI apocalypse in search? Thanks and have a great day.